everybody. Welcome to first of many awesome outdoor vids for Earth Month here. And this week we're gonna do Plant Week because this is one of my favorite times of year where we get to see all these incredible flowers popping off. So we're gonna do some flower dissecting today. So you can see there's so many different types of flowers to choose from for what we're gonna go visit. We've got red buds over here. We've got irises, so many cool flowers to visit, and my favorite part, we get to see the pollinator party. So we're gonna dissect flowers so that not only can we unlock all the really cool mysteries inside these bad boys, but so that we can appreciate what happens in the pollinator party. So we're gonna head off to find a flower, and while I'm walking, I'll share a few cool fun facts about which flowers we're gonna choose and how. And then on the way back, we'll talk more about pollinators and plant parts, and then we'll get to dissecting. Sound good? All right, let's go find a flower. So when we're finding a flower to dissect, we really want to be sure that we're picking ones that are maybe more abundant, but not ones that pollinators would like to pick. So I'm going to give you a couple different options. You can choose the greater periwinkle, which is this one right here. It's an invasive, which means it doesn't really belong here, and we don't really want it to keep growing. And so that one, it's okay to get rid of, but we want to put it in the garbage and not the compost so the seeds don't spread. Another invasive one that's fun to pick is this yellow one here called Scotch broom. Really teeny tiny, but also invasive, so one that's good to pick. And then one of my personal favorites is, I just dropped our periwinkle, the Catalina cherry blossom. Isn't that beautiful? That one we only want to pick one of, whereas with the greater periwinkle and the Scotch broom, it's okay to pick two. So we're gonna keep going to find our greater periwinkle flower. That's the one that I'm gonna dissect today. And the reason that I'm so excited to share this with you all today is because we see these amazing flowers and we see these beautiful pollinators come by to visit them, and sometimes, I don't know about you, but I get excited to learn, why do they go to those flowers? Why are they visiting them? Well, many of you may already know that they're looking for food, right? They're looking for pollen, they're looking for nectar, but it's almost like a triple whammy because in the process, when they go to that flower to get that pollen, get that nectar, they get pollen all over their little pollinator booties. And then they make it easier for the plant to make a seed. And not only does that happen, but then the plant will produce a protective casing around the seed, which is our favorite part, the fruit. Pretty amazing that we get all of our favorite fruits and a lot of our favorite vegetables from this whole process that we're about to talk about today. All right, so I'm gonna pick me a greater periwinkle, and I want to make sure to get the stem as well because that's an important part of what we're going to dissect today. All right, so remember that triple whammy I talked about? Well, when the pollinator visits the flower and shakes that little booty off and that pollen comes off from the male part, so the pollen comes off of the male part of the flower and gets moved to the female part of the flower. That's right, flowers have both male and female parts. It moves down and produces that seed. And like I said, when that seed gets produced, then the fruit is a protective casing around the seed that is not only beautiful, but man, where would we be without those pollinators and that protective casing, right? So this is our dissection lab, and one way that I like to think about this, because I get a little sad every time I pick a flower, but often good scientists will choose one individual from one species to study it, and it helps protect the entire species. So if you've picked a Catalina cherry blossom, that's okay, because we're going to study it so that we can learn how to better understand and protect it, right? All right, so our dissecting. This is going to be interesting because we're going to try to show you these teeny tiny little flower parts on this teeny tiny little camera, but we'll do our best, all right? So what's the first thing you notice about the flower? The petals, right? Look at those beautiful purple petals. Can you guess why they're so beautiful? I would guess probably to attract the pollinators, right? And that's one of many ways a flower will attract the pollinators, with its petals. But my favorite part, and you want to do this very carefully so that you don't damage all the little mysteries inside, we're going to peel the flower petals back to reveal those male and female parts. All right, so I'm going to peel all those back. Now this is the hard part. You can use a pair of tweezers. You can use your hands, but I think it's pretty cool. Let's check it out. Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh my gosh, look at all that cool stuff in there. Whoa. Those are all the parts that make the seeds happen. So cool. All right, so what are all these bad boys? Let's figure it out. So these little yellow parts right here with the green attached on the bottom, that is what we call the stamen, all right? And this whole part is the male part. So I'll show you in our diagram here. This part right here, the stamen is the male part of the flower. And that, you can tell, it's yellow on top, right? So what would you guess? That's probably where the pollen is, right? So that top of the plant part, the anther, is where the pollen lives. When the bee comes and visits, that's the part where it gets all that pollen on its booty, right? And the filament, this stalk, this long stalk right here, holds up the anther, right? You can even see in our real life example that those anthers are being held up by the filaments, those little stalks, all right? So the stamen holds the pollen, which is pretty cool. Now we're gonna move our stamen out of the way here, and we're gonna visit where the magic happens, the female part of the flower. Look at that teeny tiny little thing. So that's called the pistil. Pew pew. That holds 3 different parts. Wow, pretty awesome. So when the pollen gets moved from the male part, the stamen, to the female part, it gets attached to this little part right here called the stigma. All right, let me pull off our handy-dandy diagram here. So this female part, the pistil, all 3 of these parts right here, we're going to start in the pistil with our stigma, and I like to call it the sticky stigma, because if you feel, it's a little bit sticky on the top, right? Why do you think that is? To catch the pollen. It's almost like nature planned it. Pretty cool, huh? So the pollen gets attached to the sticky stigma and then travels down the style and stays a little while until it hits the ovary, all right? And when that pollen travels down to the ovary, what do you think happens there? It gets fertilized or makes the seed happen. The plant is able to produce the seed now that that male part of that pollen has traveled to that female part into the ovary. And once that pollen gets down the style into that part, that's when the seed is able to grow. So pretty cool, right? In our pistil, one more time, we've got the sticky stigma. This little part right here is that style, and then down here is the ovary, all right? The last part we're going to talk about, which is one of my favorite parts, is the sepal. Such a fun name, the sepal. It's pretty cool. It's this part right here. It's these layer of green leaves and this little pod that's on top of the stem, and it protects the flower when it's a little baby bud. It protects it while it's growing. It protects it from drying out. Very important part right here, that sepal. Look, that one I love because it's pretty easy to see, right? I took all the flower parts, I labeled them because I'm excited to learn about the stamen, the male part. Remember, that's where the pollen lives, on the anther, and that filament holds up the anther. That female part, the pistil, with that pollen catches that onto that sticky stigma, moves down the style, and hits the ovary where the seed is made. Boom! And that's about it. So, I don't know about you all, but when I learn about all these awesome flower parts that help make the seeds happen, all these awesome parts where when pollinators come to visit, this is what's happening when the pollinator is dancing around looking for food, I get pretty excited about it, and I want to do even more to get to see all this pollinator stuff in action. So if you want to go visit the pollinator party and you want more fun stuff to do, we've actually made a little native flower and pollinator scavenger hunt for you to do that is in the link below. So if you and your family click that link, in it you'll find a little native flower, native pollinator scavenger hunt that has all these awesome pollinators and flowers that are native to California. So if you're watching this from Pennsylvania or Connecticut, you may want to make up your own, or you can just go watch the pollinator party happen and see what kinds of pollinators you can find visiting what kinds of flowers. And when you're watching all this pollinator action happen, I love to take notes about, ooh, this type of bee likes to visit this type of flower. I wonder why that is. Or this hummingbird likes to visit this long tubular flower. I wonder why that is. So it's a really awesome way to see all these amazing pollinators visit these really beautiful flowers and see all the action happen and follow your curiosity about why certain pollinators visit certain flowers. And now you'll know what all is going down in those flowers when you go to visit them. So that's my first suggestion for how to keep the action going. If you're really stoked about wanting to learn more, but maybe it's raining outside or it's crummy weather, we've also included a link to a really amazing read aloud of one of my favorite Dr. Seuss books called Oh Say Can You Seed? It's pretty dope. I highly recommend it. But I think that's all the time we have for today. So tune in next week for Animal Week. Ta-ta.